What is going on, guys? It's the Mad Dragon carrying on with more preview videos for round 2 of the Autumn Nations. We've got more team announcements going out. This is probably going to be the final preview video I'm going to do for this this weekend. Another World Cup pool stage rematch. We just did one for the Wales-Fiji. It's already up on the channel, along with Ireland versus New Zealand and England versus Australia. They're all up on the channel already. You can go check them out after this one if you haven't already. Scotland versus South Africa, though. This was such a big game when it got round to the pool stages. This was the pool of death, and it was who was going to be able to beat who in that pool. Now, the final score for that game was 18 points to 3 to South Africa, which if you just look at the final score, you go, well, Scotland got, battered in that one. They only got 3 points on the board in South Africa. And it's sort of, the scoreline doesn't reflect that game. At halftime, it was 6 points to 3, this game. And I remember thinking, my goodness, this is tight. Like, both teams are just giving everything to this one. It was that Scottish bench that just wasn't able to live up to the game as much as the South African bench was. And you could feel it after that half-time, 50 minutes. It just began to creak away from Scotland. They couldn't get back into this one. This time, though, Scotland playing at home. Does that give them a bit more advantage? They had a good win over Fiji last week. So much to go on for this one. I'm really looking forward to this one. I think Ireland, New Zealand, and Scotland, South Africa are probably the two main games I'm actually looking forward to this week. So let's take a look at the team. Starting out with the home team then. Scotland, like I said, got a good win over Fiji. A slightly lesser capped Fiji team than I was hoping for when we went into that. We didn't do a preview video for that one last week, but some superb performances by some of the Scottish guys. Darcy Graham, 4 tries. Not often you get to say 4 tries. He scored so many tries, he ended up injuring himself, and now he's not in this game, which was a big shame. But this guy down here, Jordan, had to come on very early for Kyle Rowe, and what a good performance he put in. So we're getting in the starting 15 team this week as well. Scotland are a really fun team to watch for anyone who's new to rugby, because we do have a lot of new people coming into rugby, and it's great to be able to watch people like Darcy Graham run around. Scotland are one of the teams where there's plenty of people in this Scottish team who it's very easy to miss how hard some of these Scottish players work. They never seem to get called out in commentary. I was watching them again last week. There's 2 players in particular to point out here. Grant Gilchrist and Rory Darge last week just didn't stop. Both of them were giving it everything. And I don't think I heard their names at all in the commentary teams. So if you saw new to rugby and you know, it's very easy to just sort of sit down and just start watching the rugby and see who's scoring tries and stuff. Keep an eye out for some of these guys in the background, because you see some brilliant work off the ball and what they're doing at the breakdown situation. Scotland are a real big team for it. But we'll get into the teams then. Not a lot of changes to talk about in terms of this team, bar sort of injury concerns coming in for this Scotland team. Starting on that front row, then Schoeman, Ashman, and Fagerson going back in that front row. So no change to this front row. You and Ashman nearly got over for that try if Schoeman didn't get in the way and cause that obstruction. Ashman did eventually get over for 1 try and then also got his yellow card. So a bit of a mixed bag for the Scottish front row last week. The South African scrum is I think is probably still fair to say the biggest scrum in world rugby, right? So these boys are going to have a long old day, but it's certainly a good front row to start them out with. Lock department, Grant Gilchrist and Stuart Cummings as well. There was a bit of news midweek. I know I'm talking about the South African team here, but Ruan Norkia has gone out with his injury. So that line-out department might be something to take a look at, because you certainly felt his absence in the Rugby Championship when he had to go for like HIAs and stuff. That was a time where actually you went, oh, the lineout's maybe not functioning brilliantly, and a couple of the throws went wrong for South Africa over the Rugby Championship. It might be an area Scotland feel like they can get involved with. South Africa always have good, jumpers in the lineout, but if you can just sort of punish them, try and throw a guy up in the front of the lineout just to put more pressure on the South African hookers. Gilchrist, Cummings, 2 guys will get in the air and try and mess about with that. And it could be a real big thing to try and hit against South Africa, who would love a big maul. So if you can take that line out away from it, it would be big impact into this game. Back row, Fagerson, Darge and Dempsey once again linking up for this one. I think all 3 of these lads played well last week. Actually, like I said, Rory Darge is one to just keep your eye on, because I think around the park, I don't think the commentators pick him up enough. I do think he's very, very busy all day. Halfback partnership switching up this week. Ben White going alongside of Finn Russell. Adam Hastings, I couldn't think of his name. I had to look up the team sheet yesterday. I thought I had a good game last week. It was nice to see him back in a Scotland jersey. I think obvious starting halfback combo, White and Russell, is probably your first choice to get in there. So glad to see these guys back in. Ali Price was one that a lot of people were talking about last week. You know, is he really going to offer a lot to that Scotland team? Seeing Ben White come in, I think is a good move for Scotland. Centre partnership, Tui Pilotu and Hugh Jones still doing the Huey Pilotu thing. Hugh Jones got over for 2 tries last week as well. These lads are working well. Tui Pilotu was captain as well. I can't think actually of too many times I saw Tui Pilotu actually going up and talking with the referee, you know, doing the sort of extra little captaincy things, except for when, you know, an actual penalty came and he was sort of asking just what it was for. Maybe rather than trying to shift the ref a little bit more towards your side, but they were already winning that game kind of decently. It will be interesting to see how that gets on with the South African team. A lot of the South African players enjoy talking to a referee as well. I'd like to see how Tui Pilotu is going to get involved with that sort of area of captaincy as well for this international side. And then in that back three, Duhan van der Merwe going in alongside of Blair Kinghorn this week, and Jordan starting in that fullback shirt. So like I said, Darcy Graham and Kyle Rowe out now with their injuries. So 2 changes there. Van der Merwe felt a bit quiet for me, actually, through a lot of that Fiji game. Had these little bursts of doing what you expect him to do. Got a try, had 1 disallowed, right? And, you know, 2 or 3 big runs throughout the game. I was watching a lot of that time. They really favoured Darcy Graham's wing, and Darcy Graham even scored a try on Duhan van der Merwe's wing by just charged onto the ball. I'd just like to see him get involved a little bit more. I thought he had a perfectly decent game, but there were big chunks where I thought, he sat there a bit quiet on his wing, so I'd like to see him get involved in there. South African wingers, you know, they love a good charging run as well. So keeping the ball in hand on your end might be a little bit better, because going for the high ball is maybe not one I'd award Duhan van der Merwe over some of the South African wingers. And then in terms of the bench, Richardson goes in alongside of Sutherland and Miller Mills to come on in that second half. Williamson, Josh Bayliss, and Jamie Ritchie coming on in that second half. 6-2. Is that the right call? Probably. You just need as many forwards as humanly possible against South Africa. It feels like at this point they are, you know, a very, very dominant forward pack. Going for that 6 just gives you an extra bit of longevity in terms of the scrum and just defensive wise. And South Africa like to keep it tight. They do involve their forwards a lot. They have a really tight knit defense. I would also look to maybe try and play this one a little bit more out wide and keep it away from the South African forwards, but Scotland are obviously trying to match up a little bit more. And then coming on from that bench, Dobby and McDowell to come on later on for the Scotland side. So I think they've got a decent enough bit of sort of coverage for people to be able to move around. Kinghorn can go to fullback. He can also play 10 if you need him to. You know, Duhan van der Merwe is a big old lump. I'm sure if worst came to absolute worst, chuck him in at a crash 12. I'm sure he wouldn't mind. I mean, to be honest, he gets involved with the forwards on pick and goes enough, so they've got a bit of moving around. You can sort of get away with a 6-2 a little bit more. Moving on then to South Africa, a team that did very well over the course of the Rugby Championship. I feel like I didn't talk about South Africa enough after the Rugby Championship. The Rugby Championship ended, and I just sort of had other videos to do. I sort of didn't do a bit more of a dissection of the Rugby Championship. But did impress me over that Rugby Championship. Only lost the one game, which was that one Argentina loss by 1 point, which I didn't see coming in. Certain things, I think it's fair to say, aren't quite in where you want them to with this other. The line-out is the only one that really stands out to me. It's like, it just doesn't seem to quite get nailed. Bongi Mbonambi is going to be starting out this one. Malcolm Marks is throwing as well. It's just felt a little bit off. The safer line-out route has worked for them. It's the long throws that do seem to go a bit more wrong for them. I don't know why that is specifically, because I've had these guys down for many years as being just a demon team when it comes to the line out. It's very recently it seems to have peaked out a little bit. But one thing I have enjoyed very much so about the South African team is just the way they've adapted to a new style of play, a new set of rules coming in. Of course, we had the whole thing about taking away scrums from free kicks, and we saw it all online about World Rugby's attacking South Africa directly. You know, and I don't think it's like that. I think they basically they're trying to make the game a bit more insane. They're trying to keep it away from as many of these scrums and just reset scrums and going there. It just so happens that's South Africa's, you know, bread and butter is getting involved with the scrummaging stuff. But I have enjoyed seeing how South Africa have adapted and seeing some new tactics. It's much more aggressive attacking rugby from South Africa. The wingers are far more involved rather than just sticking to the forwards, which has been nice to see over the Rugby Championship. And a couple of these little set play ideas that they get changed up. We saw it in the line-outs a couple of times. If they land a line-out, one pod pops it to another pod in the line-out, and it's, you know, wow, what a confusing system. Stuff like that I really like. It's a bit of ingenuity. It's something new to add into a team, and I think it's working for them. And I think as you get towards the next World Cup, stuff like that will start to become very, very important. So in terms of their team coming in this week, Ox and Shea going in alongside Bongi, Benami, and Thomas Dutoy. Do we have... Oh, no, we don't have Franz Malherbe. I actually don't know if anything's happened to him. That one's gone past me. But Thomas Dutoy starting out in a tight end position. Lock department, Ebenet Smith going in alongside Franco Mostert. Like I said, Rowan Nokia is out. Man, what a shame for that lock department, because I think he's a noticeable miss when he's not in the side. I didn't quite grasp it at the start of the Rugby Championship, because you watch the line-out perform fine, and he's not necessarily being like a shining star that I'm expecting to be in the team. It was when he went, it was his absence from it, and you saw more things go wrong at the line-out, and you understand, he's actually the key as to why it works efficiently, is him being in there. I think that's a big blow to them there, but, you know, putting Franco Mostert in is, you know, also not a bad player to have in there. Back row, Margo van Staden going in alongside of Elroy Lowe, and Quagga Smith going in the 8 shirt. We know they've got a lot of chopping and changing going around in that back row now. It's actually maybe not your starting 1 through 8. I think the front row is pretty solid, to be fair now, but I think there's some players missing there. They're all here. They're all in the team, but not starting. An interesting choice, because when I thought back to the World Cup game, the first half was pretty even, and it was that South African bench that made the difference in that pool stage game. So they've loaded up. They're obviously thinking second half. Second half is when we can really look to punish there. Halfback partnership, Hendricks are going in alongside of Andre Pollard. That's, you know, a perfectly good setup there to have. Who's on the bench? Oh, they've got... I've only just noticed. It's a 7-1 bench. I was like, who's covering scrum half? I was like, they can't have Jasper Wiese, surely, going in for scrum half. Right, we've gone 7-1 apparently. Didn't even realise that. That's why I enjoy these selection reaction videos. I genuinely don't look at the teams. I just chuck the graphics on and give my opinions. All right. Woo, totally different. Okay, 7-1. Well, so much for Scotland 6-2 then. We're mixing it up again. So Grant Williams, the only boy who's going to get on in that 23 shirt, so they're keeping it in the forwards, are they? That's what's happening. Quagga Smith, you know, is also someone that can actually move into the backs as well. He's a very versatile player. Peter Steph Dutoy can pretty much play anywhere as well if he just wanted to. He just seems to have a superb run as well. Totally different mix-up then, so how that's going to work. So you've got to stick these, you know, Andre Pollard, who's covering 10 for you. No discernible player there for me. He's just outright going to take over from 10. Maybe you have to move like Billy LaRue into 10 if Andre Pollard picked up an injury. Genuinely not sure. That'll be an interesting mix. I enjoy seeing new innovative stuff. That's what I was just talking about when I started out with the South African team. Centre partnership, Esther Hazen going in alongside of Akanya Am, which is an interesting partnership because Kanan Moody is in there, and I've been enjoying seeing some of the highlights going on with Kanan Moody in the club level playing in that outside centre. He's been moved on to the wing. Esther Hazen and Am, maybe they're just going to go, if they're going for the 7-1, I assume then we're going to go very, very set piece to set piece area. Esther Hazen's going to be used as just a monster crash 12. And maybe you look for an offside shoulder to set through an Am. Maybe Kanan Moody actually being on that wing could actually be a bit of a red herring. I wouldn't be surprised if actually Kanan Moody begins to slide back into that 13 position and looks for that little bit of handling just to get off from Esther Hazen. Actually sort of plays a 13 line himself. That'll be fun to check out in the game. And then in that back three, Mapimpi going in alongside of Moody and Billy LaRue. So no Chesney Colby, no Arensa coming in this week. Avaleli Fassi was another one I thought was doing well over the Rugby Championship. In terms of the bench, let's run through them because, man, exciting stuff. Malcolm Mark, Steenekamp, and Vincent Koch coming in alongside of Sneeman, Khaleesi, Peter Steph Dutoy, and Jasper Wiese as your 7-1 split. What a monster bench. That's a really interesting call. To me, this is going to be about how does this team get on in that first half. I'm expecting the forwards to try and hold out the game, and I'm expecting Pollard to be going for a lot more threes and actually looking to try and tick over points. And then when this second half comes up, 45, 50 minutes, you just get all of these boys on against a Scotland forward pack that is good, but maybe beginning to fatigue around that 50-minute marker. You chuck these boys on and they just start punishing scrums, punishing line-outs, trying to get that few more penalties, and maybe you go for some pick and drives, you go for some mauls, and you try and get tries that way. Totally different setup to what I was expecting from this game. And then Williams to finish out on the backs. My goodness, exciting stuff. This is why I'm so glad that I don't look at the teams before I do these videos, because I get excited by it when we get into them. How do we see this game going then? Like I said, Scotland only got 3 points in this matchup in the World Cup, which feels mad, actually, because I remember that game being so tight. I didn't actually remember the score before going back and looking at it. Playing at home, they had a good win against Fiji last week, and their wingers can certainly do damage. They've gone for the 6-2 to try and hold out against that South African forward pack, and then South Africa have almost gone up another 1 to do even more forwards. I'm wondering whether it, now in your knowledge of that they've gone for the 7-1, maybe it actually might have been better to have gone for 5-3 for Scotland and actually just said we'll avoid as much forward contact as possible and specifically gone wider. Always try and get out to your wings, include your fullback, and actually have more backs. And always try and run around the South African defence to keep it away from. And you sort of nullify out a bit. What's the point in having an extra 7 forwards if you keep it away from scrums, if you keep it away from lineouts, and you could try and nullify it a bit more. Fierce contest. For me, score prediction-wise, I'm leaning towards South Africa for this one. 7-1 bench, something always exciting. You know, innovation in rugby. I like seeing these different things as well. I think it's going to be tough. I can see it almost going similarly to the way the World Cup was. I'm hoping for more points. I'm hoping for better than like an 18-3. I'm hoping both teams at least sort of get over maybe the 20-point marker. But I'm still seeing a South Africa win here. I'm going to go South Africa to take this one. I'm going to drop it down a little bit more than what it was in the World Cup. I'm going to say South Africa by 9. That's going to be my score prediction, guys. Make sure you drop yours down in the comment section and what you think of these teams. Very, very interesting shake-up there. I'm so glad that jumped at me halfway through the video. Like I said, a bunch of these preview videos are already out on the channel. We've got like a very short amount of time before the Ireland-New Zealand game is on tonight. So if you're catching this video right now, go sort out your Superbru, your predictions, all that stuff. Get them locked in before that game tonight. Otherwise, you're going to miss the deadline and it's going to sort of screw up your tournament for you. But I hope you all enjoyed this one today, guys. Hopefully, superb weekend of rugby. Really looking forward to it. I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye.